Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we've got ourselves a preview of the London game, and I'm fighting the urge to do a British accent because that's boring.
Hello.
Damn it, you did it. We got segments later with Danny King. We have an interview, someone who covers the Packers for Acme Packers, and then we'll obviously do our intro. Justin, how are you feeling? 3-1, 9:30 a.m. game over in London. On the verge of 4-1 possibly. If we go 4-1, I'm like all in on playoffs. Like I've been holding out. We played bad teams. We go 4-1 and beat the Packers. I'm like, okay, we're a playoff team. Let's start making plans for the playoffs.
Sheesh. Let's take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. All right, enough.
All right, yeah, enough of that.
Hi, Bobby Skinner. What a time. What a time. We're thinking Jake Fromm, Davis Webb 2 days ago, and now we're like Daniel Jones all in. Let's go, rock and roll. Feel bad for if you're a California Giants fan. Just thinking of this too. Imagine if you're a California Giants fan. 5 a.m. Wake up, drink your coffee. Giants game on.
Our interview guy, he's in California.
Oh, that's tough.
Let's get into this preview. First, this episode was brought to you by some special people. Kevin Calhoun. Anthony Logano, not Logano like Joey Logano, Logano. Mark Chiovola. It's I don't know. And then just NYG Mason, who I know from Twitter, but he actually used his Twitter handle, who's part of the World Beater tier. Justin, who are these people?
Thank you to NYG Mason and Cole Calhoun's cousin, formerly of the Angels. They all went to patreon.com/TalkingGiants, $2 a month. Jim, who's Jim Calhoun?
Come on, dude. Just refinish it, please. I don't feel like doing this. You don't know this person thing.
I know about 5 things in life. One of them being the Giants, the other being Shania Twain. The rest of the 3 you have to figure out. Patreon.com/TalkingGiants, $2 a month plus some other tiers. You know the perks. You know the benefits. Come hang out with us on some Victory Mondays early on Sunday while we record the shows. Thanks to our patrons.
All right, so this Packers offense, it's balanced. They are a balanced offense, but they haven't been necessarily good. They've been 21st in scoring, but they also are 6th in yards. So they just have not been able to put in the end zone. There's been obviously these new wide receivers, and it obviously starts with Aaron Rodgers. Their run game is pretty damn good too, but the Packers are an Aaron Rodgers team. Some interesting stuff with him, man. They've taken a different approach without having Devontae Adams. He has the second lowest average depth of target in the NFL through this first month of the season. That's lower than Daniel Jones. It's the only person that's lower is Kyler Murray. He is getting the ball out quick. Like they live off of quick game and they spread it around. So it's not like we're just quick game to this guy, quick game to this guy. You know, like DeAndre Hopkins when he first joined the Cardinals. Like no, they are spreading it around. Lazard has 58 yards per game. Romeo Doubs 46. Randall Cobb 37.5. They are taking whatever easy yards they can get, Justin.
Yeah, very balanced offense. Like you said, Bobby, they have 18 running plays of 10-plus yards and 17 receiving plays of 20-plus yards. That's a total of 35 big plays that is tied for the second highest in the National Football League. So even though Aaron Rodgers is not really pushing the ball down the field, they're still finding a way to get those 20-plus yard plays on somewhat of a consistent basis. And Aaron Rodgers started to do this a couple years ago. I think it was 2019 that he had. It was either 2019 or 2018 where he was kind of like lull and he was like kind of an average quarterback. And then he has those back-to-back MVP-like seasons because he really started to trust in LaFleur's offense. Really started to believe in the system, not just trying to play hero ball, Aaron Rodgers escaping the pocket, throwing it 40 yards down the field to whoever's open down there. He's trusting in the offense and he's believing in that they have a running game that has his back as well, and giving some opportunities for some of these young wide receivers to make a play, but not really pushing the envelope. So this is an offense that's still effective, but still not as dangerous as it was a couple years ago.
So what they're doing is they're just taking the easy yards that are there. Now, they face a lot of too high stuff because they don't want Aaron Rodgers beating them deep. But Rodgers has proven over the last few years, as that trend has happened, to be patient. You know, in fact, he's like kind of like the poster boy of being patient versus where it stops. You know, it can give issues to guys like Pat Mahomes or Herbert. They will take all if they put off coverage, which we've seen at times with the Giants. If you have a Dory Jackson lineup 8 yards off. Quick little out route, quick bubble route. They will RPO out of it getting that quick game. And Aaron Rodgers, I think, is best in the game at knowing when to hand it off and when to throw it. I think sometimes QBs are just like, oh, I got the look I want, I'm throwing it. When it's like, no, you should actually run the ball into this. Like 6 yards on the ground is more important than 6 yards in the air. They'll also even under center too. Like when you get Aaron Rodgers under center, you got a corner 8 yards off, which is when you see corners play off. He'll throw a little bubble. He'll throw a little flat. It's like RPO stuff out of center where you're not actually bringing out the play action, but it's like, hey, we hand this off or we're throwing, a quick little bubble to Alan Lazard because Adoree Jackson's 8 yards off coverage on him. And they don't motion a ton, but they do motion into their quick game. Like they will have, 2 slants and a flat, and then they'll motion the flat in there to get some momentum and that stuff to try and get some yak.
Yeah, so I'm worried about the Giants' defense when it comes to first and second down. Green Bay, even if they get to third down, especially if it's third and shorts, I'm worried about they're going to convert those opportunities, and that's how they're going to be able to sustain drives.
Well, I think, one, this Giants defense has not played anyone near Aaron Rodgers' level this year.
Correct.
Like the best quarterback by far that they face is essentially Ryan Tannehill. And the other threes are good levels below those guys. I really think the way to play this with the wide receiver group they have is we got to play man coverage. Just man coverage all day long, because if you throw those zones, no one's better besides maybe Tom Brady at diagnosing what a defense is doing and taking what they're giving you. Like he is, like his ability to scan the field, even if you do like some cover 6 stuff where it's half the field is cover 4, the other half is cover 2. Well, no one is able to diagnose that and get off of it and diagnose that stuff to get into what he's doing quickly, like Aaron Rodgers. Like the way he sees the field really is just, it's a beautiful thing when you go and analyze it. So
let me ask you a question. Is Randall Cobb still the slot receiver for the Green Bay Packers?
Yes, and that's the worry. If Rodgers has trust in him and we can't cover him and man coverage, that could be an issue. But to give Darnay credit is he's been losing on some of the longer developing routes. Like he's gotten beat on some of the quick stuff, but he hasn't gotten beat a ton on the quick stuff. And the Giants have went to some heavier packages as well. So I don't want to say I'm like not worried about Darnay Holmes, but Randall Cobb has also been their third receiver as far as yards per game as well.
But throwback to a 2016 wildcard game where Randall Cobb, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie gets hurt. Tevin Wade comes in and Randall Cobb just destroys the Giants defense.
Don't want to think about that. I saw a Packers fan post that as a throwback, and I so badly want to quote tweet with some of our throwbacks in the playoffs. So I think the way you do that is to play man coverage. And when you blitz heavy. Because I think some of this in the middle stuff that Wink Martindale has done has been great these first 4 weeks of the season. But you throw some of these replacement fire zones, like I think Aaron Rodgers does a good job of diagnosing that stuff. So it's like, hey, we're either going to send 6 or we're not going to send anybody at all, and rely on man coverage. And I think the corners have fared pretty well in man coverage, despite some of our worries before the season. And then when you are in zone, I think you got to try do your best to disguise it, and not live out of cover 3 single high versus the Packers, because Aaron Rodgers will kill you in that. Yep. Like you can show the single high look, but maybe rotate into 2 high coverages post snap.
Blitzing Aaron Rodgers is a scary thought, because basically if you're an elite quarterback in the NFL, you're almost on a do not blitz list, but also Wink Martindale operates by his own set of rules. I want to talk about forcing negative plays, because the first 2 weeks of the season, the Packers allowed 7 sacks. Aaron Rodgers was sacked 4 times against Minnesota, 3 times against Chicago, but the offensive line has done a very good job the last 2 weeks. 1 sack against Tampa, 1 sack against New England. That doesn't make sense to me, because Tampa and New England, they have really, they have good defenses.
Their O-line got healthier though.
O-line got healthier, so that may be it may be tougher to force those negative plays sacks wise. But Bobby, Aaron Rodgers never throws interceptions. 2017, he has 6, and that was the highest that he's had since 2017. 2018, 2, 2019, 4, 2020, 5, last year, 4. Aaron Rodgers has already thrown 3 interceptions this year. One week 1, another against Tampa, and then against New England last week. So Aaron Rodgers already has 3 interceptions. Can the Giants get their first interception of the season this week?
And I think those interceptions come off of man coverage. Like I did a breakdown on one against Logan Ryan where they played in man. Logan Ryan ended up being the robber, like safety that crashes down. When pre-snap he showed he wasn't going to do that. And then last week versus the Patriots, the interception was also in man coverage where they were playing that off coverage. Aaron Rodgers wants to get that quick little 5-yard out, take what they give you, and the cornerback jumps on it. So for Adoree Jackson, when you are playing off coverage this week, like be ready to jump those routes, and Adoree Jackson hold on to the ball when you get it, and you get your chance at an interception. And again, this Giants defense hasn't got an interception, so they're kind of due for it. So those are the ways to get into that. But I think to beat Aaron Rodgers, I think you just got to be good at man coverage. And if you're not good enough, that's the way you lose. But I think that's the way to play him with the Giants' current personnel. Because Azeez Ojulari, I don't think he's going to play. Kayvon hasn't shown a ton as a pass rush threat. He's been all right at times, but not a ton. And I don't know if Dexter Lawrence and maybe Leonard Williams coming back is going to be enough to really affect Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see. You know who can affect things? Let's talk about this, because this is big news, and we haven't even talked about it yet. Landon Collins is back.
Yeah, he's not going to play this week, though.
Not going to play. All right. Sad.
We'll talk some. I don't know. I don't really have any takes on Landon Collins.
I think he's going to be good in the box, and I think when we talk about forcing negative plays, that's what we're going to see Landon Collins hopefully make some tackle for loss, some QB hits, and, maybe a sack or two. That's the hope.
Yeah, I think he has to be, truly a linebacker, because you put him at safety, and he's just not good at that. He can't cover anybody. He truly has to be a linebacker. I saw KSI made the point, which is true. It's can Landon Collins do the same stuff Tay does? I don't know how well he doesn't. See, he just doesn't fare super well as playing linebacker. He fares well as a box safety, but you have to have the threat of playing actual safety. So I don't know. We'll talk more about that next week or when he ends up playing. But
we haven't even talked about the run game yet.
Cool nostalgia. Yeah, we've been in the run games. The run game is what I'm the most fascinated with the Packers offense. They run 2 running back sets with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones is averaging 82 yards per game on 6.8 yards per carry. A.J. Dillon's getting the same amount of carries, but he only has 53 yards per game, but he's averaging 3.7 yards per carry, so less effective. But they have the number 7 rushing offense in the NFL, and that's without a QB who's creating yards with his legs. And they run some really cool stuff. We talk about it in the interview a bit, but there's a lot of plays where they put both those guys in the backfield in shotgun on either side, and one's going one way. You have a tight end, crossing the line of scrimmage to do a backside block, and you get those yards. This is going to be a lot of stress on the linebackers this week. This running game is going to be a lot of stress because it's a lot of misdirection, and that's the type of stuff. That's what Tay Crowder has struggled with the most in his career, is reading his keys. And Jalen Smith plays aggressive, so he may follow one action, and then all of a sudden we get sprung for a big run because Tay Crowder was slow processing, Jalen Smith was too aggressive. So this week is really going to stress these guys. And when you do play some traditional zone coverage, the quick game, the linebackers are going to be relied on in coverage.
Worried about that.
Yeah, the linebacker group is the group I am the most worried about this week.
Yeah.
One, because they're not very good. And it's just, I think this is a tough test because it's a very balanced offense. It's an extremely balanced offense. You can't just sell out to stack the box on these guys. You're going to be asked to, do a good amount of stuff in coverage. And there's a lot of action in front of you, a lot of stuff to, try and get you distracted and get you in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So I'm very worried about
Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. The combo of those two and in this offense scares me a hell of a lot more. And I'm not even saying this with hindsight, but they scare me a lot more than Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey do.
Yeah, C-Mac's receiving ability worried me. That's, and we're like, hey, they should play McKinney in the box all game, and they did do that. But if they didn't put McKinney in the box, McCaffrey would worry me. But again, we're not worried about these guys. Aaron Jones can be used a good amount in the receiving
A.J.
game.
Dillon too, man. A.J. Dillon is a little. I think is a very disappointing as a fantasy football breakout. He was.
I drafted him because of you.
Yeah, he was a guy that I really had circled on my radar, and I'm not giving up yet because A.J. Dillon is like the best handcuff in fantasy football if Jones ever goes down and gets hurt. And the reason why A.J. Dillon's a really good handcuff is because he actually gets work as a main back. You're not just relying on the starter getting hurt. I'm a little disappointed by just the overall lack of targets that are going to the running backs in Green Bay in general this year, but that does mean that Aaron Rodgers is relying on his receivers a little bit more, which if you're a Green Bay fan, you feel a little bit better than that since throwing to your receivers is overall more efficient than throwing to your running backs. So,
all right, let's talk about our offense. We'll go a little quicker through this since we spent 20 minutes on our defense. The run game obviously needs to be the focus this week, more so than other weeks. The Packers aren't very good stopping the run. They give up the most yards per carry on first and second down in the NFL, which is 5.26. They give up 3.3 yards after contact. They give up the highest explosive run rate on first and second down. Their linebackers have not been great. Quay Walker has been pretty disappointing for them. Devondre Campbell hasn't played like he's played in past years. So I kind of hate. It's kind of a boring talking point for the preview pods, but run the damn ball. Run the damn ball. And the tight ends are going to be a big part of that this week.
Yeah, similar to last week where I said, I don't care, even if it hurts you a little bit on, the offensive side of the ball. You kind of just have to dedicate yourself to it because it's what's working in this offense right now. Now, the only trade-off is last week you were playing against Justin Fields, so I didn't care if running the ball wasn't so effective. I didn't care I was giving the ball back to the opposing team. I care about giving the ball back to Aaron Rodgers and giving him more opportunities to score here. But it's what works. It's what this Giants team's identity is right now. So you kind of have to do it, and Daniel Jones' health is the big question mark right now.
And like the Bears were bad stopping the run. This is two very different defenses, though, where the Bears go into single high safety. They stack the box. You bring 3 tight ends in, they're going to bring everybody in. The Packers are not. They are of the 2 high safety, bend don't break defense that is kind of going across the NFL right now. So what that leads more to is, like you said, those first and second down runs because there's going to be light boxes. And Saquon Barkley actually had his best week versus light boxes this past week, which means the offensive line improved. So, just being able to get in those light boxes, use the tight ends as pullers, as, wham blocks, and you do those types of things. In the pass game, like I said, the 2 high coverage, the passing game really worries me. One, the Packers are the best third down defense in the NFL right now. The Giants are second. The Giants have been gotten themselves into third and long, so the rushing game has to work on first and second and down. Rashawn Gary, 5 sacks, 9 pressures. Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, 2 sacks, 7 pressures. Rashawn Gary's going to line up on Evan Neal, I think, the majority of the game. Kenny Clark, the interior, has had trouble pass blocking. They're the number 7 scoring defense in the NFL. They're the number 3 passing defense in the NFL. Our wide receivers are non-existent, essentially, and Darius Slayton's speed is not going to be as effective versus a team like this because they stop you from creating the big play. It's not a hot take that I'm not expecting much success for the Giants passing offense that's ranked 31st in the NFL.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I agree.
Daniel Jones playing. So I was surprised at how good he looked running on practice. Like, I knew they were going to test him out, but I was very surprised to see him moving around that much. But I will say this, because I want to get my take out there before, because there's been some, I think, mishandling of Daniel Jones' injuries in the past with the New York Giants. Specifically throwing him out versus the Cardinals in 2020 and getting a second injury and then playing him the full game with 2 injuries. If he can't move around really well, if he's limited in his running ability, I don't think he's worth playing. One, just making the injury worse, but the passing game has not been huge anyways, and a big part of the running game has been Daniel Jones' threat of legs, and in the passing game. A lot of their success in the passing game has come from Daniel Jones scrambling, and some of the big, not just scrambling for running, but scrambling for passing. There's been an emphasis put on Daniel Jones, and we've seen it more than ever, that don't be afraid to create passing yards with your legs. That has been a clear emphasis that they want him to freestyle a little bit more instead of just going 1, 2, 3 pure progression or pick a side stuff. There's been an emphasis on that. So we're not in the room. We're not the doctors, but if he's seriously limited, yank him.
And I trust this regime a little bit more with keeping Daniel Jones out versus putting him in harm's way than I did in previous regimes, because I think this regime understands, number one, like nobody's job is like on the line this year. They've already done more than enough to prove that the coaching is going to elevate the talent. And I think just seeing what they've done with other certain positions that have been hurt, like they, keeping Kayvon out, keeping Aziz out, being, I guess, overly cautious with Tony, I guess, even though that's a whole nother situation.
I keep on forgetting he's a person.
Yeah, right. He was a full participant in practice during Wednesday's.
Limited, but yeah.
Or at least he did everything.
He practiced.
In front of the media, and then Thursday, he was a non-participant, so go figure. 10 of the Giants' 26 10-yard rushes this year have been off of Daniel Jones's legs. So I agree with you. If he can't add that element to the Giants' offense, I don't want him playing. Like, let's get him healthy. Whenever he can add that element, that rushing element to the Giants' offense again, then we can rock and roll with it. So do you think he plays?
Yeah, I'm like 99% sure that he's playing. I mean, everybody's. I'm 100% sure actually he's playing. I don't need that 1%. I'm 100% sure that he's playing.
You think they're still gonna elevate Davis Webb from the practice squad on Saturday? They have to, right?
Tyrod's traveling. But he didn't practice on Thursday.
Oh, I thought Tyrod wasn't traveling.
No, he's traveling.
Okay.
So we'll see with that, but Davis Webb travels anyways. All right, let's do this interview with Casey Sully, who contributes to the Packers at the Acme Packer Company. And he's a head high school football coach. We talked a little bit about that afterwards, but not in the interview, so you don't get to hear that. Justin, do you have anything to say before we kick it to the interview?
I do. I want to tell you about SeatGeek because they are sponsoring today's episode. Live events are back, which means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code Giants. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. We've got the app on our phones. Whether it's football, concerts, basketball, festivals, or so much more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. SeatGeek, they rate every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure that you're getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. Don't worry, we've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Make sure you click the link in our description to download the app. Go to London. Go see a Yankee game. Come with me to the Raven game. It's going to be a great time. Use SeatGeek promo code GIANTS.
You'll be glad you did. All right, we now welcome onto the program. He does some work covering the Packers for Acme Packer Company, SB Nation. Casey Coley. Casey, what's going on, man? How are you feeling going into a 9:30? That's my first question. Are you excited to play at 9:30 a.m. or are you a little against it?
I'm on the West Coast, so it's a little tough for me. That means a 6:30 a.m. wake up call to tune in, but gives me a full day of football, So I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. And the Giants are looking on sort of the upswing. I know there's some injuries they're dealing with, but it's exciting to sort of see them get some success here when they haven't really for the last, number of years.
Yeah, it's actually obviously the Giants are 3-1. Doesn't mean they're a great team, but it's good to see. It's the first time there's been two winning teams matching up in London. I saw that.
Right. Yeah,
we'll get into it here. My first question for these opposing matchups are: what is the bread and butter of the Packers defense, coverage wise, run game wise? Just kind of what do they like to run the most?
Yeah, they run a lot of too high safeties. Much to the, I think, chagrin of Packer fans, especially last week against the Patriots when they were facing a rookie quarterback and Bailey Zappi. They stayed in that too high shell, even though all the Patriots could do is really run the ball and throw some short stuff. But they love keeping everything in front of them. Just don't give up that explosive play and count on the offense to make a mistake down the field. So they're saying, hey, if you can execute a 10-play drive on us and just steadily march down the field and not have a holding call or a tipped pass or an incompletion or a sack or whatever it may be, then hey, more power to you. We'll take that. We bet our offense is going to be more efficient than yours. So on third down, they're doing a really good job throwing in some more exotic blitz looks and moving things around. But for the most part, they're relatively static in the back end and rely on Rasul Douglas and Eric Stokes to cover, and Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage to sort of keep the lid on stuff. And Amos is out this week, so we'll see if things change. But they really just want to keep things in front of them and trust Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith to generate some pressure and get to the quarterback.
Obviously defense is very cyclical in the NFL, and too high seems to be the way a lot of teams are trending. And like you said, that's rooted in patience, but they're facing a Giants team that has, been the number one rushing team in the NFL, run out of a ton of heavy packages. They last week they did it a lot. I think because the Bears stacked the box, maybe they won't do it as much this week. Could you see the Packers D maybe getting away from that for like on a 1 week basis versus the Giants?
Yeah, I think you'd like to, especially with the injuries the Giants have outside, and Daniel Jones may be limited with the ankle. And it seems like the one way that they can beat the Packers is through the run game. And the Packers have notoriously struggled with the run game for years now. And that's sort of continued to be the trend because they like to play those light boxes, keep the two safeties, play a lot of nickel, keep as many DBs on the field as possible to protecting against the pass and those explosive plays. I would expect them to try to roll down a safety and get another guy into the box. I think it really depends on whether they're comfortable doing that without Adrian Amos, because he's normally been kind of the box player and more comfortable coming down. Darnell Savage has done it, but they sort of like him to play sort of the rat roll and fly around and be all over the field and just sort of be around the ball and make plays. So they really struggle with their third safety, the Packers do. So it's who do they feel comfortable with staying deep and on top of stuff, and who do they want to bring down into the box. But I think that's the formula for success for the Giants is be patient. The Packers offense isn't that explosive on the other end. They're going to try to run the ball too. So if you can sort of condense the game and keep it a 1-score game at the end by taking long drives and expecting the Packers to do sort of the same, I think that's a recipe for minimizing the possessions and potential for a 1-score game at the end to have an opportunity to win.
Yeah, that would be interesting, especially with Amos being out. I didn't know that before we did this interview. And I remember just watching Blake Martinez film when the Giants signed him, and they used Amos almost as, that will linebacker next to Martinez a lot of the time. Now, the Packers defense the Giants have been the second best. The Packers have been the best third down defense in the NFL. How are they getting off the field?
Yeah, Rashawn Gary is playing like a man with his hair on fire. He's doing a great job creating pressure and generating pressure on his own, and people are trying to chip him, and he's still finding ways to get to the quarterback. And Preston Smith is no slouch on the other end. Kenny Clark is having a solid year, a little bit inconsistent in run defense, but he can rush the power and generate pressure up the middle as well. And then Joe Barry generally does a pretty good job of creating good third down looks that are a little bit more exotic that may rotate coverages or give quarterbacks a little bit of pause and let his guys sort of go to work and create a little bit of pressure packages and bring an extra defender to generate that. And it all kind of starts on first and second down. Like if you can get an offense into a predictable situation on third down, that helps you call a play and coverage that is going to give you the best advantage to predict what they're doing and get a stop.
Rashawn Gary is obviously the name that worries Johnson. Does he line up solely over the right tackle, or are they switching him from side to side?
I've seen him mostly on that side, but I'm sure they're flexible to moving around, especially if the Giants are a little banged up and just trying to get him a matchup and let him go. Sometimes it seems like Barry is a little bit inflexible and moving guys around, but the hope is that this week of all weeks is a week where you can sort of get out of what they do base wise, just based on what the Giants like to do and the personnel they have available.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup because the Packers' strength versus the Giants' weaknesses, and then the Giants' strength versus, like, Giants obviously number one rushing team. That's been the Packers' weakness. And then, and coverage wise, like they have not been able to push it downfield, even during, versus these too high looks. And then a big part of that has been Evan Neal has struggled at right tackle, Rashawn Gary, and then Kenny Clark in the middle. They've given up a ton of interior pressure. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of which breaks first. On the offensive side, I was interested to see that Aaron Rodgers has like the second lowest average depth of target. What is leading to that?
I think it's just mostly personnel. Alan Lazard was out early on in the season, and you have two rookie receivers out there, and Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs that, are learning as they go a lot of the time, and a lot of shuffling on the offensive line. So obviously David Bakhtiari is working back, didn't start the year. And Elton Jenkins is coming back from an ACL that he tore midway through the season last year. And he's been at right tackle and has not looked very good there either. I think he's still working back, and he may just be a more natural guard. So there's been a lot of shuffling there on the offensive line. And I think they're just trying to get the ball out of Aaron's hands and get some easy completions, a lot of RPO concepts, and leaning on the run game. I think the Packers' two best players are their running backs, and A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. So it's trying to feature the run a little bit more, find a way to get the ball into their hands, and create easy completions, and then set that up for play action and boot game off of that gives more efficient passing opportunities. They might not get the big explosive plays you're used to Aaron Rodgers completing down the field at Devontae Adams or Jordy Nelson or whoever. But the Packers are at the top of the league in yards after catch. So they might be short completions, but the receivers are doing something with the ball afterwards. And that's a lot of RPOs and getting space and stuff underneath in the play action game, and letting the receivers do work afterwards. So might not be a ton of deep shots, but they're still finding ways to create yards and explosive plays with yards after the catch.
I want to finish with the running game because their running game does fascinate me, but I want to hear your perspective on it. Which wide receiver does Rodgers trust the most? Obviously Cobb is there. You have the rookies, and then Lazard, who was kind of looked at as the one going in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Lazard and Cobb are who he trusts the most, and then I think it's Romeo Dobbs is quickly climbing that ladder. Has a lot of nice physical tools and is starting to gain that trust. You're starting to see Aaron Rodgers throw to him in big moments. But when it all sort of crumbles, I think he looks for Cobb and Lazard, especially on third down. He's found Cobb a number of times in sort of important situations through the game where they need a conversion or to extend the drive. He's looking at Randall Cobb. They just are sort of on the same wavelength, especially on scramble drills. And then Lazard had a big game against the Patriots, over 100 yards, and is working back in from his ankle injury. So I think those two have his trust the most, and the rookies are scratching and clawing their way up to try to gain a little bit more.
We'll finish off their running game. I won't explain it because you obviously know it a lot better than me. I think it's fascinating. What are they doing to get into their running game and stress defenses?
Yeah, this year they're running a lot more gap scheme stuff. So they're pulling guys, doing pin and pull to get to the outside. Whereas last year they were a lot more zone based, with the outside zone, wide zone, inside zone, duo type stuff. And it might just be the way they feel comfortable with the personnel and the shifting that they've gone on through the beginning of the year here. But they're a lot more diverse in the way they attack defenses in the run game. So they run a lot of their split back personnel, or pony package is what they call it, with Dillon and Jones both in the field at the same time. And just trust the perimeter. They'll pin guys down and then pull linemen out around to get to the outside, and run a little bit of power and counter and split zone with the H-back coming across and kicking out the defensive end. So it's a little bit more difficult to defend. It might be not quite as efficient when you just major in zone running game, is sort of what you see from a lot of Shanahan style teams, is they just, they run zone and they run it really well. And there's little wrinkles that they add to it. But generally, what you're going to get. So Packers diversifying a little bit in that department and giving more things for the defense to think about and stopping the run.
Yeah, it's weird going into a matchup, and I'm more worried about the Packers running game than I am necessarily their passing, because I think the Giants live in a lot of man coverage and the receivers aren't there yet. And the Giants linebackers are very weak and they are slow reading their keys. And I mean, the Packers get into their run, like you said, you have the split backs with Dillon and Jones on the field at the same time. I saw them, running split zone, and the wham block was coming from out wide and motioning into the backfield from, like the X spot. So there's doing definitely some things that's really going to put some stress on the linebacker. So I'm interested to see how that turns out. Casey, appreciate you jumping on with us. Where can people find your work? Because I read one of your articles and I got a lot of nuggets out of it.
For sure. Write for Acme Packing Company, and then write occasionally on Weekly Spiral as well, doing sort of football 101 stuff, sort of breaking down the concepts of football. And if you want to follow me, I'm Coach Casey Sully on Twitter. Coach high school football, so it's probably more geared towards high school football in California. But if you want to check us out and watch some live streams or something, that's where you can find all my stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think our people are interested in that. Casey, thanks again for jumping on.
For sure. Thanks, Bobby.
Guys, this interview, I just made episode interview to one word, episode. Brought to you by Ridge Wallet. How about that? The Ridge Wallet 1. It's very skinny. Like, can you see it? It's very thin. And
it's almost as thin as me.
You can hide. It's thinner than you. We want to sell this. And you could put stickers in it. This is a good wallet. You can put whatever you want in it. It's an awesome wallet. It holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. We're straight cash around here. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. I love burning titanium. The wallets have over 50,000 5-star reviews. That's more than us. That's kind of, we need to get our reviews up to 50,000. The durable material means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty, which means after Danny King's dead, can't wait for that day, you'll still have a warranty on this damn thing. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it, they'll let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. It's really a good wallet. Check out the link in the description and use code JOHNBOY for 10% off. Check out ridge.com/JohnBoy and use code JOHNBOY to get 10% off. This is good stuff. You'll be glad you did. All right, we now welcome on our weatherman, who was right again, right in the face of everybody. Everybody was coming at him again, like he's going to be wrong again. He's going to be wrong again. And it continues to be 4-0 in weather. Danny, welcome to the show.
They're coming for my name, but I ain't
Justin is looking like you're saying he's
wrong.
wrong. You're wrong.
Now let the record show it rained.
I said it was gonna drizzle. I guaranteed
it
I
was
said it was
not
drizzle.
like a heavy rain. I did have to wear a poncho, but I wasn't like bothered by it. So I am still going to say that you are undefeated.
Well, I went back and listened. Because we're like, say it. Say, is it going to rain or not? And he's like, it's not, but but at last second, he's like, you're going to get a little light drizzle in there. And that's exactly what happened.
All right, that is true.
It feels like ages ago when we were recording in the middle of a hurricane.
All
right, Danny, what's the weather looking like for London? Do your models go that far?
Oi, governor, that was a horrible accent.
Damn it, I've been trying to avoid the British accents as much as we can on this podcast.
My models do go that far. As you can see behind me right now, I pulled up the model. As you can see, the United Kingdom, we're back. All right, the weather in England on this beautiful Sunday morning, technically Sunday afternoon for them, will be 63 degrees. But for all those UK, European people that go off the Celsius model, I got that as well. 17 degrees Celsius. I even brought out the Celsius figures in this week, okay? That's how serious I am as a weatherman. But it's going to be partly cloudy. Partly cloudy for the whole game, but a nice, I say fall afternoon football game. They'll experience that good vibes over there in Tottenham Stadium.
So no rain?
No rain this week. We're chilling on the rain.
Man, you remember the first London game, which we beat those Dolphins, how bad that weather was? Eli rushed for a touchdown. It was a great moment. All right. Any trivia this week, Danny?
It does, and it does span from that first game in London between the Giants and the Dolphins. Obviously, you said Eli Manning had the only touchdown on the game, and he used his feet to run to get that touchdown. That's an amazing statistic. What a day to be alive. Can you name, obviously, then it was Brandon Jacobs had 131 yards. He led the team. Who led the team in yards following Brandon Jacobs? Just one name. I just need one other name. Who is the second man on that list? So Brandon Jacobs and who?
I don't think it was any receivers because there was like no receiving that game, but maybe they had more than. I'm going to say Steve Smith.
I'm going to say Jeremy Shockey.
Unfortunately, The man I was looking for was Ruben. Here we go. Drones.
Ruben Drones. How about that?
Ruben Drones. He led the team with, after Brandon Jacobs, he had a total of 27 yards on the day. How many rushes? Let me pull that back up right here. Oh, but yeah, he had 27 yards on 8 attempts. His longest rush was 8 yards. So there you go. Ruben Drones. He led the team. He played from the Giants from 2007 to 2008. So
yeah, that's one of my favorite stories when Brandon Jacobs came on here. And, you know, his wife gets really mad at him that he wasn't out for the Eli Manning kneel down on the 2007 Super Bowl. But the victory formation, how it was practiced year round, was Ruben Drones would go out there. That's how it was practiced year round. And, you know, Brandon Jacobs wanted Ruben Drones to have that moment. He didn't want to change it and, you know, be part of like all the pictures that were taken. So Brandon Jacobs kept it that way. So he was not on the field for the final play of Super Bowl 42. So that's one of my favorite stories that he told on our interview.
Actually.
All right, time for fantasy picks, where we draft players from the Giants and the team that they are playing. I am still in first place with 137.8 points, coming off of a 17.3 point outing. Justin, you'll be picking second today. You have 90.9. Week 1 really screwed you. You had 21 points last week. You're back 47.
I'm
Danny
chipping
has
away. I'm chipping away.
Danny, you have 102.1 points. You had 21.6. You were the week's leader last week. You're down 35 points. I have the first pick, and I'm going Saquon Barkley. Easy decision. He's going to be the first pick every week, but more so this week where like the Packers have a good rushing attempt, but it's a two-headed monster. So I'm going Saquon Barkley. The Giants are going to run the ball this week. Saquon Barkley is the first pick. Justin, who is pick number 2?
Aaron Jones. I think it just makes the most sense. Gets passes out of the backfield. Even though him and A.J. Dillon are splitting carries, he gets the majority of the yards. So Aaron Jones, second pick for me, first pick, technically for me.
Yeah, he was number 2 on my big board. Like you said, he is their lead back. He gets their most yards, and they don't have like a true alpha dog wide receiver who's going to get all their yards. And obviously the Giants don't have even like a third dog receiver. Danny, you got back-to-back picks. That's where it gets interesting.
I will be going A.J. Dillon, because I just feel like, as you said, A.J. Dillon, they kind of split it, so I'm feeling that. And then I'm going to go Alan Lazard. I still believe Aaron Rodgers likes performing with Alan Lazard just as excited. I'm assuming he's going to say Randall Cobb. That's my bet. If I was, I'm not, then I'm wrong. But I feel like Alan Lazard, I feel like him and Aaron Rodgers have a good connection. And if I'm wrong this week, then but that's just unfortunate, because I do like the connection Aaron and Lazard do get.
So I had Alan Lazard 5th on my big board, which you took him 4th, so not too bad. But because Aaron Rodgers does spread it around, Adoree Jackson will be covering him. I'm thinking he may not have the biggest of weeks. Justin, who's your second pick?
Romeo Doubs.
Damn it. He was 3rd on my big board. He was ahead of A.J. Dillon for me.
Without a doubt. He has a touchdown catch the last 2 weeks. There was one back shoulder. I believe it was a touchdown grab that he had last week.
He dropped a big touchdown last week, too.
Did drop a big touchdown, so that means Aaron Rodgers may not target him for the next 5 years. But Aaron Rodgers may not have a choice. He does have, Dobbs has 13 catches the last 2 weeks, 16 targets combined the last 2 weeks. So give me Romeo Doubs, especially he may not. I don't know if Adoree Jackson's going to be shadowing anybody this week. I don't really think he should. I don't think any of those Green Bay wide receivers are good enough. But I think Dobbs and Rodgers have like the best connection right now going out of all those 3 main wide receivers.
So Saquon Barkley goes first, and then we have 4 Packers after that. Seems like you guys don't trust, you guys don't believe in the New York Giants. And that's why I told myself I'm staying true to my big board this week. So 6th and 7th on my big board. Number 6 is Daniel Bellinger. We're going to be running play action. He's going to get targets in this offense, and the Packers have good cornerbacks. They play that shell. So Daniel Bellinger, I think, was going to get some more traditional catches too, some check downs, some stuff over the middle. And then number 3 for me, he really let me down last week, but he's not going to let me down back-to-back weeks. I'm going Richie James, who Darius Slayton's the speed threat, but they stopped this, the stuff over the top. David still sucks. Richie James is my 3rd pick, and then the 7th overall. A little late for Richie James to be going, but I feel good about it. Justin, who was next?
I mean, I hate that I'm taking Packers. I feel like I've had a big Giants love fest so far this year. Maybe that's why I'm down a big time at fantasy. But I'm going A.J. Dillon. I just feel like it makes sense.
What?
I feel like it makes sense. I'm going A.J. Dillon.
Just
Wait,
Danny took him third.
I took AJ
sorry
Dillon.
about
Are you
that.
thinking of another name?
No.
I thought we'd let AJ Dillon fall to. You thought I'd pick Daniel Bellinger over AJ Dillon.
I'm dumb, but no shot I was letting AJ Dillon go.
I don't know.
by
You guys
me.
let Tony Paul. I'm winning because you guys let Tony Pollard slip. But anyways,
All right. So now this gets really tough. Now that I'm all right. What was I doing there? Randall Cobb wasn't taken, right?
no.
Maybe. Damn it.
I'm going Randall Cobb.
Fuck.
Sorry for being an idiot. I don't get an explanation after being an idiot like that.
Well, we talked about it earlier. He's going up against Darnay, and Rodgers does like to give him the ball a little bit. All right, Danny, you have back-to-back picks.
Yeah, I don't want these picks. I'm joking. I'm gonna take Christian Watson. I think he could be
my top 12 big board.
I think he could be boom or bust, and I'm gonna bet on the boom. And that's solely it. And then after this, like, I don't really want any other Giant, like, realistically. But you know what? I'm just gonna do it for fun. He had a big drop last week. I think he'll make something happen this week, and especially with the injuries at wide receiver, Darius Slayton's going to be playing. Give me Darius Slayton.
Fair pick. And now he's forced to play like the entire game worth of snaps instead of splitting with Kenny Golladay.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, your final pick.
Big Marcus Johnson day, huh? No. Tanner Hudson.
Yeah, I had Tanner Hudson, I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3. 11th on my big board.
I mean, Green Bay is a tight end that I can go with, but I need a Giant on my team, so.
Yeah, you should have went with Robert Tonyan. He's 7th or 8th on my big board. I'm getting him 12th overall.
I still trust that Tanner Hudson is eventually going to get a touchdown, and I honestly trust that more than I trust Robert Tonyan getting a touchdown.
I mean, Robert Tonyan, remember how mad Packers fans were when Evan Ingram made the Pro Bowl because Robert Tonyan had all those touchdowns? It's the one time when a fan base was like, why did this guy get in? And then the fan base of the team, why did he get in? He's like, yeah, we agree. What the hell is going on here? All right. So Wandale is still limited. He may play, he may not. I'll be interested if any of you are willing to trade your third-round picks.
It's going to have to be an early morning trade that day, though.
Yeah. It's got to be 8 a.m.
It's got to be 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Actually, no, 8 p.m. Saturday, since it's then, because I want to get the posts all drafted up and stuff.
No, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't even know if I would if I were interviewed. Maybe if I was Danny, Christian Watson. Like, I wouldn't trade Richie James for Wandale. But maybe I would trade Bellinger. How about that? All right, so the recap. I have Saquon, Daniel Bellinger, Richie James, and Robert Tonyan. Justin has Aaron Jones, Romeo Doubs, Randall Cobb, and Tanner Hudson. And then Danny has A.J. Dillon, Alan Lazard, Christian Watson, and Darius Slayton. All right, it's time for Giant Factors. I'm going first this week. I talked about how stressful of a week it's going to be for this position. And I'm going Jalen Smith. It is a Jalen Smith revenge game.
Oh, another revenge game tweet.
Jalen Smith revenge game. No, but seriously, this is going to be a very stressful week for the linebackers. They throw a ton of misdirection. When you do play some traditional zone, you're going to be asked to be aggressive in it. But we can't have you being too aggressive in the run game. So I need Jalen Smith. I'm not going to ask Tay Crowder to be great reading keys and stuff. But I can't. Jalen Smith was a good player in the NFL for a good while. He's still fairly young. I think he's probably better than Tay Crowder at a lot of the stuff in the run game. So I'm going Jalen Smith as my Giant Factor for Week 5 in London. Justin, who is your Giant Factor?
I'm between 3 guys, and they're all in the secondary. But I'm going to go with Xavier McKinney. The Giants need their first interception of the season. They need it. Aaron Rodgers has shown that he is human. He already has 3 interceptions so far this year. Xavier McKinney, get that first interception of the year for the Giants. Fool, bait, trick Aaron Rodgers into throwing a ball that he doesn't want to throw. Xavier McKinney, you're my Giant Factor. Danny, who's your Giant Factor?
My
Davis
Giant
Webb.
Factor is... Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. My Giant Factor right now is going to be Daniel Bellinger. Like Bobby mentioned earlier, if Daniel Jones is playing, it's probably going to be a lot of play-action rollouts, and Daniel Bellinger is going to be the guy I think that gets a lot of looks this week. Him and Daniel Jones are developing some sort of connection. I was hoping this is what Evan Ingram and Daniel Jones would do, but Evan Ingram just refused to do his job and catch said ball. So him and Jones are developing that connection. Maybe there's a touchdown in line for Daniel Bellinger. So Daniel Bellinger is my Giants factor. However, obviously Daniel Jones is injured, and Daniel Jones has a history of continuing to be injured. And right now, I think if Daniel Jones was to get injured, it looks like it would be Davis Webb. So Davis Webb, if you are that guy, I want answers from 2017. This has kept me up at night for years straight. You should have played against the Raiders. You didn't. And if you play this Sunday, it will basically complete my life. You will win the game if we do play. You're the new sheriff in town if Tyrod can't play or can't back up Daniel Jones. But Daniel Bellinger is my official Giants factor, but Davis Webb is like my side Giants factor, since right now it looks like Jones is going to play. And if this is all smokescreen,
You should have just waited for this for when Davis Webb actually starts.
But here's the thing, though. Like, there's what if this is all smokescreen by the Giants and Daniel Jones just doesn't play on Sunday?
What if Daniel Jones is they're gonna do this thing where he's active, and if Davis Webb gets hurt, then he'll go in, but Davis Webb is gonna start. What if they do that?
I mean, that's just not going to happen. But it would be crazy if they did. All right, time for spread picks. Danny is in first place. He's continuing to dominate 18-13. The listeners have been good. They're 17-14. Both of you guys are coming off of 5 and 2 weeks. I went 4-3 last week, so I'm one game under 500 at 15-16. And then Justin was the only guy under 500 last week at 3-4. He is 13-18. Before we get into these picks, who were they brought to us by, Danny?
These picks, as usual, are brought to us over our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook because, like you know, the NFL season is in full swing over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Of course, we're talking touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins because we all love winning, just like the New York Giants. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do win. Check this out. In addition, the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. So matchup wise, I'm feeling this week. Obviously, Giants, you gotta bet on the London games. I feel like that's just a must. But guys, what games are you feeling this week? What games would you use the stepped up same game parlay for?
Man, you know who I'm feeling really good about?
Who are you feeling good about, Bobby?
For some reason, I'm just feeling good about the Bengals versus the Ravens +3. I'm kind of back in on the Bengals after they started off the season bad.
The game I'm feeling this week is probably going to be Lions-Patriots. Patriots
that's
are the
the crazy
right
one. But that one's so dumb that it's probably the Patriots will probably end up winning.
Exactly. So to make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game all season long. So right now, I want all of you to go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code JOHNBOY to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code JOHNBOY only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Yeah.
All right, Thursday Night Football. Colts at Broncos -3. I'm going Colts +3 because I think this is why people for some reason thought Matt Ryan was good last year, and maybe I think he might have played decent on Thursday Night Football. So I think Matt Ryan just plays well on Thursday Night Football. Even though they don't have Jonathan Taylor, they're still going to run the ball. And the Broncos offense is just really, really bad. So I was going to take the underdog no matter what. And the worst Thursday Night Football game of the year that we've definitely had so far. I'm going Colts +3. Danny, who do you got?
I'm in agreement with you, Bobby. I just feel like the Colts are just going to get it done. Like you said, minus Jonathan Taylor. Even if they don't win, I think this will be just a utter slop fest because the Broncos are also bad, that the Colts will keep this close.
The listeners, represented by Blair Stewart, who gave us me and Justin our coasters, are going Broncos -3. Justin, who are you going with, listeners or me and Danny?
Yeah, I'll give you guys the win since whatever I pick, usually the opposite happens. So Broncos -3, that means the Colts are going to get it done tonight.
I really want to win Thursday Night Football, so when I put the graphic out on Sunday, I'm at least 500, which I'm feeling really good this week. Like, I think I parlay all these picks. I think this is the week that I'm going to get rich.
Maybe the stepped up same game parlays you should use.
Next game, Dolphins at Jets +3. The listeners are going Dolphins -3. I'm going Dolphins -3, even with Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not buying this Jets hype. Jets fans are losing their mind, calling Joe Douglas like the greatest GM of all time. Justin, who are you going in this?
I'm buying the Jets hype. Jets +3. They're home. They're 500. I don't like Teddy Bridgewater. Not feeling it. I honestly think Tua was that offense, and I think Mike McDaniel obviously was doing a great job with him, but Tua was playing much better than what he was getting credit for, and Teddy Bridgewater isn't that. Jets +3.
Danny, who are you going?
A little revenge game for the Jets after Tyreek Hill ducked them to go down to the no-tax state Florida or whatever, state income tax. I don't know what he said. I'm
A guy
going Jets.
choosing to live in Florida over New Jersey. Couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, couldn't imagine that dilemma.
And so that's why, because of that, I will also be going the New York Jets. I think they'll keep it close. I'm not fully in on the hype, but the Jets, they don't look that bad. Like Justin said, Teddy Bridgewater. I got to see it to believe Teddy Bridgewater can at least carry the Dolphins until Tua comes back.
Chargers at Browns +2.5. Danny, who are you going in this one?
Now, see, obviously the Chargers, they don't got Joey Bosa, so they got to rely on Khalil Mack. The Browns, meh. I'm going to take the Chargers this week. I think Justin Herbert, even with his rib damages, he's still a beast of a quarterback. He can still get it done. And Austin Eckler's just a great running back.
The listeners are also going Chargers. Justin, who are you going?
What even are the Browns right now? Like, how are they doing? I feel like nobody cares about them. I'm going Chargers.
I dropped my pen, so I'm writing that down.
Oh, boy.
I feel so confident about this one this week. The Chargers' defense stinks, and they are horrible at stopping the run. You know what? Everyone's going
Still?
this too high. They are horrible stopping the run. And guess what the Browns love to do?
Run the ball.
What do they love to
Run,
do?
run. What's the second leading rusher in the NFL after Saquon Barkley?
Nick
Chubb. I am going Browns +2.5 in the LeBron Bowl, LA versus Cleveland. I feel very confident about that. Lions at Patriots -3. This is like the matchup of like two teams who they're interesting, but both have really bad records. The listeners are going Lions +3. The Lions offense is really good, and the Patriots are going to be playing an injured Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. I'm going Lions +3. Are we all going Lions +3? Is there anybody buying the Patriots sneak out a win when nobody expects it hype?
The Roar is back, so I will also be going the Lions.
I'm going with the Patriots.
There we go.
I think they played Green Bay very, very well last week, and I think Bill's going to have a plan to stop the Detroit offense, and Detroit's defense is also really, really bad, so maybe they have a shot.
Yeah, but it's just the
They are
Patriots'
bad.
offense is even more bad. Me and Justin have disagreed on every single pick so far.
Good week for Bobby coming up.
I told you I feel really good about it this week. All right, this was one of the tougher ones I had. Eagles at Cardinals +5. I went back and forth with this. I'm not all in on the Eagles quite yet. Like, I think they might be a team that after week 12, people will simmer down on a little bit, even though they do have talent all over the field. But I'm still going Eagles -5 on this. The Cardinals aren't very good at all, so I'm going Eagles -5. The listeners are going Cardinals +5. Justin, who are you going with? Are you going with our hated rivals or the team that you said is going to be horrible this year?
This is a big spread, especially for the home team, but I think the Cardinals stink, so I'm going Eagles. I'm going Eagles here.
Damn it, I was hoping you go Cardinals. I was hoping we'd disagree on every pick. Danny, who are you going with?
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately believe the Eagles hype. I mean, the Cardinals, yeah, like Justin said, they have lost to the Chiefs and the Rams. Those are good teams, but of course they beat the Panthers. That's not hard to do these days. I'm going to have to take the Eagles, unfortunately.
And they didn't look good beating the Panthers either.
No, they did not.
Cowboys at Rams -5.5. Justin, who are you going on this one?
Cowboys. Stafford throws interceptions.
Their offensive line isn't very good. The Cowboys defense is really good. I unfortunately agree with you. I'm going Cowboys +5.5. Like, I think the Cowboys defense is just the Cowboys defense regressing was an offseason topic for a lot of people. They've gotten better. So I'm going Cowboys +5.5. Danny, are you going with me and Justin or the listeners with the Rams?
I don't think the Cowboys will win, but I think they will cover their spread.
All right.
The Rams and the Bengals, might I add also, too. The two teams that made the Super Bowl last year, they're two of the least explosive offenses in the National Football League. It's kind of crazy.
Bengals have been really good on third down. And we have the next game as the Bengals at the Ravens -3.
Sunday Night Football.
Is this a Sunday night game?
Yes.
I am so excited to lock in and watch this game.
Yeah, we can actually focus on a Sunday football game from start to finish because we play so early. Joe Burrow and the Bengals smoked the Ravens last year. The Ravens defense is worse. There's a little bit of turmoil over there. I got the Bengals +3. I'm back in on the Bengals. Second best third down team in the NFL. I'm going Bengals +3. Danny, who are you going?
Yeah, I think Joe Shiesty will get the job done on Sunday Night Football. Is that his nickname? I don't know. I might have just pulled that from thin air, but I think it is.
It's kind of lame. The listeners are going Ravens. Justin, who are you going with?
Ravens -3. Lamar Jackson is having an MVP-like year, and I really hope and trust that the Ravens defense is going to eventually figure something out. I think they have the talent to do it. Ravens -3. I'm going to go with the quarterback that's playing much better.
All right, Monday Night Football, Raiders at Chiefs -7. I'm going Chiefs -7. I know the Chiefs have owned the Raiders recently. Now, the Raiders are playing a very different defense, but I've been trying to buy into the Raiders hype, and they just haven't been great. Even last week, barely scraped one out versus the Broncos. So I'm going Chiefs -7. I mean, they're just a much better team to me. The listeners are going Chiefs -7. Justin, who are you going?
I'll disagree with Bobby one more time. For the hell of it, Raiders +7. Patrick Graham, remember how well he played Patrick Mahomes last year? Let's see it again.
I know, but I'm kind of just like Patrick Graham is still doing some good stuff there. Our Raiders guy Sanji's been pointing some stuff out to me. So me and Justin have disagreed on 6 of 8 picks. Danny, who are you going?
Yeah, I'm also going to go the Chiefs because, like you said, the Raiders are just not good against the Chiefs, and the Raiders are just not good in general right now. So I will also be rocking KC and good old Spags.
Josh Jacobs has been running the ball well, and then I think Hunter Renfrow is back. So big for the Raiders.
We love Hunter Renfrow bringing back.
All right, guys. Time for score predictions. But first, I told these guys I would do this for them, and I'm very happy to do. Big Blue UK, Big Blue Ireland. I love the Giants international fan pages. They're going to be doing some get-togethers, and it's free entry. So if you are over in London on Saturday, October 8th, 2022, a Wapping Tavern or Wapping. I don't know which one of it is.
I think it's Wapping.
Wapping.
Wapping Tavern.
The time 7 p.m. till late. College football alive. There's going to be all Giants fans are welcome. Food and drink are available at the venue. No ticketing. Just show up and join them. So please go do that. And I'm sure if you go do that, there'll be places to tailgate with those guys on Sunday before the game is too. So please go do that. Those guys support us, and I love supporting our international fan base. Help grow the New York Giants. I think it's really cool what some of these pages do. All right, Danny, what's your score prediction for Giants Packers in London?
So I got no clue. I'm going back home for the Mets game on Saturday. I don't know what's going to happen Saturday. So when I wake up Sunday, I want to wake up for a valid reason, okay? I don't want to wake up to watch the team get smoked by the Packers in London. Now, with that said, I don't think they're going to win because they're still the Green Bay Packers. But I think it will be close. I think the Giants will keep it close. I'm going to say final score of 24 to this day close. What I'm about to say, 24-13 will be the final score in London.
By the way, Aaron Judge hitting all those home runs has gotten me back, and I'm excited for baseball playoffs because I've been watching. I've never watched so much baseball in my life. I've watched like every game for the last 3 weeks because I've been waiting for Aaron Judge to hit it. Justin, what's your score prediction?
2017. They'll keep it close. Packers win.
Okay, I'll say.
Losers. Many think the Giants will be those this week, but they will not be. The Giants are going to London. Do I have a record on the Giants in London? Oh, yeah. They're unfreaking defeated. They have not been defeated in the great state, country, region of London in the UK. Our fans are going to be there. They're going to show out better than Packers fans. People say, oh, when you go to the London game, it's just a bunch of different jerseys there. No. Giants fans are going to show out. We rule Europe. We will take down Europe and London, and the Giants will win, and they will beat the Packers 77-0. Aaron Rodgers is washed. The Giants, all things coming up Giants. We appreciate you guys. See you on Monday for a Victory Monday following the London game. Hopefully next time they're in London, we'll be there. When we see you, we'll see you. Until then, Let's go Big Blue.